Southwest Florida's news source. This is Fox 4 News at 6.
Whose voice do you think it was in the 911 call?
I think it was George Zimmerman's.
All new at 6, a
jury
juror breaking her silence. Exactly why she believes George Zimmerman is not guilty of murder or even manslaughter.
Plus, a bomb threat on Southwest Florida roads. Many of you wondering why you were never warned. That answer for you coming up.
But first, a big break in a cold case that's captivated Southwest Florida since 1999. Detectives making another arrest in the disappearance of 4-year-old Pilar Rodriguez.
4 News Corner's Julian Glover is live outside the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office with details on this new development. Julian.
Good evening, Patrick and Kelly. The break in this case is a long time in the making. After 14 years of searching and digging for evidence, the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office is finally able to say that this case is closed.
But as far as the arrest, you can consider it closed, yeah.
After a long 14-year investigation, detectives say new details brought a fresh lead to this cold case.
We did get additional information over the last couple of years that helped to finally bring this case to a close. And
that additional information largely provided by Melissa Harding Jones, arrested by deputies back in 2010 for her part in the disappearance of 4-year-old Pilar Rodriguez of Punta Gorda. Prosecutors initially charged Harding Jones with aggravated manslaughter of a child, but today in court, she entered a guilty plea for lesser charges of accessory after the fact.
we serviced a warrant on Keith Wilson in Kentucky and took him into custody, charging him with first-degree felony murder.
Keith Wilson was Melissa Harding Jones's boyfriend at the time of Pilar's disappearance. Deputies say the child was last seen when Harding Jones was babysitting the girl. Harding Jones originally admitted that Wilson was responsible for harming Pilar.
We were just finally able to put it together.
Today, Wilson was found in Kentucky, almost 1,000 miles from where the little girl disappeared.
And this has been a long time coming.
Yes, it has.
Detectives are unable to tell us exactly what information Harding Jones provided to lead to an arrest, but no doubt the hard work of sheriffs and investigators, stretching nearly a decade and a half, played a big part in the break in the case.
We're very proud of our dedicated cold case squad and the members of the state attorney's office.
With the arrest of Wilson, Charlotte County investigators are confident that he has key information that could bring closure for the Rodriguez family.
It's someone that has information that would lead to the recovery of this little girl's body.
There it is, you heard it right there. While investigators do not have specific information as to the whereabouts of that 4-year-old's body, after 14 years of investigating and digging for answers, they're now closer than ever. Very relieving information for the family. We're live in Charlotte County tonight. Julian Glover, Fox 4 in your corner.
Thank you, Julian, and showing you the scene right now on Storm Patrol Viper radar. A few lingering showers in Southwest Florida.
This after some heavy rain in parts of our area this afternoon. Are we in for a wet night? Storm Patrol's Jim Sion joins us with the latest. Jim.
Well, the short-term forecast does look a little bit drier than maybe it did 24 hours ago, but as we look using the power of 4 again, let's paint with a broad brush. Look what's going on to the east of us, to the south of us, to the west of us. A very saturated atmosphere right now, and that's going to stay in place for the short term. Here's what's left of the rain, and I actually went back to about 1 o'clock this afternoon. You can see that we had some real heavy rain, but a sea breeze just never developed. We didn't anticipate one developing because of the strong easterly wind flow, and we really didn't warm all that much up today. Our high temperatures in some spots were only in the upper 80s. Here's a look at some light showers making their way through Fort Myers into southern Cape Coral. Extremely light showers. That's more drizzle than anything, and a couple of showers there just south of Everglades City. So we'll continue to have this abundant moisture in place over the next couple of days. We're going to stay a little bit on the wet side, but there is a drying trend in the forecast. Our afternoons getting somewhat drier. We'll tell you exactly when that's going to happen and have a good look at your weekend too coming up.
Thank you, Jim. Anytime you see weather happening, snap a picture or get some video so we can share it with others. You can send it to stormpatrol@fox4now.com.
Some scary moments for drivers on the Caloosahatchee Bridge this morning. A naked guy walking in the middle of the bridge, flailing his arms, saying he had a bomb. The guy told Lee County Sheriff's deputies he had a bomb in his car and it was rigged to blow. The bomb squad brought in a robot to check out the car, and when it found items that looked like it could be a bomb, officials closed the whole bridge down. Deputies tell us you can never be too careful in this kind of situation.
The individual has been taken to a local mental health facility under a Baker Act. Individual does have a history that also causes some concern. So as a result, we're being very cautious.
The bridge is now back open, and coming up at 6:15, we're looking into something a lot of annoyed drivers want to know tonight. Why didn't those big electronic traffic signs alert you to the bomb threat and the traffic tie-ups that went along with it? You might be surprised by the answer we got for you. Should your kids' teachers in Collier County get a pay raise? That is the big question tonight at Collier County School Board meeting. 4 in Your Corner's Katie Jones live in Naples, where teachers have come out in full force saying they expect the money that they have rightfully earned. Katie?
Yeah, Patrick, hundreds of teachers came out to this special meeting tonight rallying for a raise. Now, this has been more than a year-long debate between the teachers union and the school district after the school district put a freeze on salaries, claiming there was a budget deficit. Now, teachers actually tell me they haven't gotten a raise in more than 3 years. They say the families are suffering and teacher morale is very low. Now, last year when the salary freeze was put in place, the district said it was facing a $15 million deficit and couldn't afford to give teacher raises because of economic uncertainty. But the union argues the district does have the money to pay. Earlier this year, a special magistrate was called in to review the issue, who ultimately did side with the teachers. But last week, the district once again turned down the raises, which brings us here tonight. The board is expected to make a decision on the future of teachers' pay, and we'll of course bring you any new details as we get them. We're live in Collier County. Katie Jones, Fox 4 in your corner.
Katie, thank you. A Port Charlotte man and his dog narrowly escaped a house fire early this morning, and as 4 in Your Corner's Colleen Hogan reports, you might be surprised to hear who alerted neighbors something was wrong.
Firefighters finish up after the flames, but the cleanup is just beginning at this house on Knotson Terrace. You can see through the windows the damage left inside.
They did have smoke and fire coming out of a portion of the roof.
A guy and his dog were sound asleep inside when the fire sprang up. Next door, Jessica Page was getting up to feed her baby.
My 8-month-old baby girl woke me up.
The baby's bedroom window faces the house, now fully on fire.
I hear pop pop and I peek out my bedroom window and there's flames coming up out of the house next door.
She called 911 while her boyfriend and another man sprang in to help.
Me and my cousin, we ran out the back door, ripped down the screens in his lanai.
The victim kicked through his bedroom window to escape. Bleeding, he ran back for his dog.
He had to open up the front door to get the dog out.
The scared pooch made a beeline for safety under the neighbor's car. With the owner transported to the hospital, Animal Services was coming out to care for the dog until they can be reunited. Colleen Hogan, Fox 4 in your corner.
Well, that man is expected to be just fine. Meanwhile, the state's fire marshal's office is investigating. Great news for Lee County swimmers. The Florida Department of Health is lifting its advisory on Cape Coral Yacht Club Beach. Water samples taken yesterday showing bacteria levels are safe for swimming. The department will conduct another sample next week.
Tracking crime in Lee County tonight. Sheriff's investigators need your help finding a masked gunman who robbed the mobile gas station on Gladiolus Drive. The suspect, described as a male between 5'8" and 5'11", about 145 to 155 pounds, and wearing that mask, a black shirt, and camouflage shorts. If you know anything, you can call the sheriff's office at 239-477-1000 or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-780-TIPS. The first juror in the George Zimmerman trial speaking publicly, commenting on whether she believes Trayvon Martin's race played a role in how George Zimmerman saw him that night.
I don't think he did. I think just circumstances caused George to think that he might be a robber or trying to do something bad in the neighborhood because of all that had gone on previously. There were unbelievable a number of robberies in the neighborhood.
The juror also talking about who she and the other jurors thought was yelling for help in the background of that now infamous 911 call the night Trayvon Martin was killed.
Whose voice do you think it was in the 911 call?
I think it was George Zimmerman's.
Did everybody in the jury agree with that?
All but probably one.
And what made you think it was George Zimmerman's voice?
Because of the evidence that he was the one that had gotten beaten.
She also says she's thinking about writing a book about the case. What do you think about the jurors' comments? Voice your view right now when you call us at 239-206-FOX4.
The fallout over the verdict in the George Zimmerman murder trial making its way to our state capitol this morning. A student group calling for the state legislature to hold a special session addressing the state's stand your ground law. Florida's the state's Attorney General, Attorney General Eric Holder, also calling for the law to be removed today at the NAACP convention. Zimmerman was acquitted of murder and manslaughter charges in the death of Trayvon Martin. Zimmerman didn't use that specific law in his defense, but the case bringing renewed interest to stand your ground. Coming up in our second half hour, we're sharing your views on Zimmerman's possible civil rights charges.
And we are tracking the tropics tonight, watching all of this activity out in the Gulf of Mexico and very quiet across the Caribbean. And we are looking across the Atlantic at a couple of different things that the National Hurricane Center is going to watch for the next couple of days. But as far as the Atlantic goes, we don't expect any development. Now, we are watching a little bit of a spin in the atmosphere, and we've been talking about this a little bit. It's an upper level low pressure system. So sometimes you notice things like that. What it's doing is actually pumping moisture across the Florida Peninsula. We don't expect to see any tropical development because remember, it's got to be a closed center of circulation at the lower levels of the atmosphere, and this is an upper level low pressure system. So no development expected for the next couple of days, but it's been raining around here. We'll talk about that coming up.
Still to come, a Florida entrepreneur with a warning for you tonight.
The phony letter he got from what looked to be a governmental agency and why the state says Floridians need to be on the lookout, and a 4 in Your Corner special report, an investigation on potholes. How where you live determines what kind of help you'll get if your car falls victim.
But first, 4 in Your Corner, working to find out why these signs meant to alert you to trouble on the road were not working during a bomb scare this morning. Next.
What's going on out there? It's nice and quiet tonight. Scanning the skies using the power of 4, but it was an active day. We have more wet weather in the forecast. We'll have the details coming up.